Turkey's eye-catching agreement to acquire 44 Eurofighter Typhoon fighters, advertised around $10.7 billion, was supposed to end a long, frustrating chapter in Ankara's airpower modernization. It does not. The jets themselves are only the starting point of combat capability. The decisive variable is the munitions they carry, and on that front Turkey is walking into a thicket of politics, export controls, and regional rivalry. At the center of the maze is MBDA's Meteor, the beyond visual range air-to-air missile whose high-energy, ramjet-powered endgame and imposing no-escape zone define the Eurofighters' long-reach punch. Without Meteor, the Typhoon remains a powerful fighter. With Meteor, it becomes a platform that can shape an engagement before the opponent fully understands they are in danger. The difference is operational, strategic, and, given the Eastern Mediterranean's tense geometry, deeply political. The obstacle is not technical integration so much as permission. MBDA is a pan-European consortium with governance that runs through several capitals, and the headquarters sit in France. That corporate reality translates into a practical veto for Paris on Meteor's export and re-export. Britain can deliver the airframe and offer close-in ASRAAM missiles. Those will sharpen Turkey's dogfighting edge but will not solve the range and energy problem. The political key to unlock the Eurofighters' full envelope is French assent to Meteor for Turkish service. In theory, a $1 billion weapons line within the broader package should cover at least a tranche of missiles. In practice, that figure is a placeholder until partner governments sign on the dotted line. If Paris withholds approval, the most important missile in the package never leaves European stocks. The timing is awkward for everyone. The United Kingdom wants the Eurofighter line busy, the consortium partners want income and influence, and Turkey wants to stopgap fleet aging while its indigenous programs mature. Yet the French calculus includes a thick dossier of disputes with Ankara, clashing interests in Syria and North Africa, entrenched differences in the Eastern Mediterranean, and a track record of Paris leaning toward Athens in maritime spats. Greece, for its part, already fields Meteor on Rafales and has telegraphed strong opposition to any transfer that would erase its hard-won qualitative edge. Layer on the abrasive personal dynamic between the French and Turkish presidents in recent years, and the export control committees are unlikely to rubber-stamp anything swiftly. For Ankara, the operational implications are stark. If Meteor is off the table, the fallback is to lean on AIM-120 AMRAAM variants and close-in weapons. AMRAAM is combat-proven and dangerous, but Turkey's available versions would not match the reach and endgame energy Meteor brings. In air combat, range is not a vanity metric, it dictates who can force the other to defend, who can turn early and still prosecute, and whose radar picture sets the tempo. Start every engagement at a kinematic disadvantage and you compress tactics, shrink reaction time, and surrender initiative. That is precisely the dynamic the Hellenic Air Force has sought to institutionalize by joining the Meteor Club early. Could Turkey route around Paris? Several pathways are discussed in defense circles, none straightforward. One is to double down on indigenous air-to-air missiles and accelerate their qualification for frontline fighters. Turkey's within visual range program has logged visible progress, and its longer-range missile work is advancing, but turning test articles into inventory at scale, and then integrating them seamlessly with Eurofighter sensors, avionics, and fire control logic, is a multi-year engineering marathon. Another idea is to seek alternative Western missiles with fewer political choke points. Realistically, there is no Meteor equivalent available off the shelf without similar approval hurdles, and any bespoke integration would still require the Eurofighter partner's blessing. A more politically audacious route would be to decouple the weapons buy from the jet program and stage deliveries, accepting an interim period where Typhoons fly without the long-range teeth they were built to wield. That avoids a deadlock today but bakes risk into tomorrow's deterrence. Export control politics cut both ways, and Ankara knows it. By anchoring a large airframe order with the UK and engaging Eurofighter partners, Turkey has created constituencies in Europe who benefit from moving the package forward. London will likely lobby Paris to avoid handicapping the aircraft that it co-developed, while industry will press national governments to keep order books healthy. But France's countervailing considerations are substantial. They include alliance signaling within the EU, bilateral defense collaboration with Greece, broader Mediterranean stability narratives, and a reluctance to empower a rival whose regional assertiveness Paris has repeatedly criticized. In this milieu, the Meteor license decision becomes a proxy for questions larger than missile range. What kind of balance of power does Europe want between Greece and Turkey, and how much risk is Paris willing to accept in exchange for industrial harmony? The Turkish side will frame the issue in familiar terms: equitable access to capabilities that are already present in the region, a desire to maintain credible deterrence against neighbors fielding comparable or superior kit, and a sovereign right to procure systems from partners willing to sell. Expect Ankara to remind interlocutors that it spent years navigating German hesitations over the Eurofighter itself, that it ultimately reached a high-value deal designed to lock Turkey into a European supply chain, and that withholding the signature missile reduces the logic of that alignment. The implicit message is blunt: make the partnership real, or Turkey will keep hedging with non-European options and domestic programs, even if those paths are slower or politically noisier. For the Greek camp, the incentives are equally clear. Meteor on Turkish jets would compress the step advantage Athens currently enjoys and undermine the payoff from its Rafale investment. Greek diplomats will stress that arming Turkey with a deep-reach missile while maritime and airspace tensions simmer is a recipe for miscalculation. That position dovetails with French preferences for caution around Ankara's behavior, and it carries weight in Brussels. The result is a three-cornered pressure system: UK and Turkey pushing for a green light, Greece pushing firmly against, and France in the middle with a pen that can write, approved, or not this time. Markets, meanwhile, should not mistake signed memoranda for fielded capability. The weapons line in a package must crystallize into specific missile lots with scheduled deliveries and training pipelines. The software and certification work to integrate whatever is approved, whether Meteor or a mix of other stores, must be planned, funded, and executed. Training syllabi for pilots and maintainers must adapt to the missile set that actually arrives. If the political process stretches, so does the timeline for a Turkish Typhoon force that can fight as advertised. Each month of drift is a month in which the Hellenic Air Force's Meteor-armed Rafales consolidate their relative advantage. The immediate question is therefore not whether Turkey will receive Eurofighters, it is whether those jets will be paired with the missile that makes them transformational in the specific neighborhood where they will fly. The answer hinges less on engineering than on diplomacy, and less on price tags than on trust and leverage among European capitals. If Paris consents, Ankara's purchase becomes a coherent air superiority package and the regional balance relevels. If Paris refuses or delays indefinitely, Turkey will still gain modern airframes, but with a ceiling on their reach that Athens will be quick to exploit. In either case, the lesson travels beyond the eastern Mediterranean. In 21st century airpower, the sharpest edge is often forged not in wind tunnels or on production lines, but in the quiet rooms where export paperwork is signed, or left sitting in a drawer.